Okay, hello and good morning. Let's take a look at today's bell work here. Well, this is the quadratic equation, so you got to get it equal to 0. And so what you're going to do is move that 7, which is a plus, to the other side. When you do that, it changes to a negative. And what you want to do is identify the A, the B, and the C. Well, the A here is 2. The B is the number in front of the X. There is no X. There's an X squared. So the B is 0, and the C is -7. And there we go. So it's going to be X equals the square root. Nope. X equals -B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. So -B, so that's a 0 here and here. 4 times A in C is -7. So when you do this, you end up with that is 0, so that cancels out. This cancels out. You have a double negative here, so that's going to be a plus. So it's going to be plus or minus the square root of a positive, and this is 4 times 2 is 8, 7 times 8, that's going to give you 56 over 4. So you're going to have a plus and a minus. Let's see what that's going to be. So 56 shift square root is that, and then you're going to divide by 4, and when you do, you're going to get a plus 1.9 and a minus 1.9, and those are your two answers, and that's how you work that. All right, let's move on. Today we're going to start talking about percentages, and I think percentages are really important, and I think you need to know how to do them. For example, let's say one day you have stock that's valued at $20 a share. Okay, and you end up deciding to give some of that to maybe a family member, and you want to give them like 30%. So you want to give 30% of each share. Now you might have a lot of shares, but let's just figure it out with one share of stock. Okay, so the question is, or the formula is over of percent over 100. Memorize that. Well, the question is, this is the whole and the part. Okay, so is over of. So is the part. Let me try that again. Whole over part, and that's from my memory. Let me make sure that's right. So what number is 30% of $20? Okay, that's the way you would write it. So let's see what this is. The is what number is. We don't know what the is. We know the percentages, or the percentage. So here where the percent is, you're going to put 30 over 100. And of, this right here is your of part, and that's down there. And it's part over whole. So change that to part over whole. Okay, so part over whole is what we're going to use for that right there. Okay, so is over of, part over whole. So 20 is the whole thing. So we're going to put 20 down here because that's the whole amount of one share. And so we're looking for this, the is. So we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. So you're going to get 100x is equal to 600, and then you're going to divide by 100, and when you do, these zeros cancel out and you get $6. Okay, let's see if that's right. Let's take 6 over 20 and see if we get 0.3. So 6 divided by 20, and I get 0.3, and if you move it over this way, you get 30%. Okay, so it's part over whole. That is correct. So make sure you memorize that formula right there. All right, now let's take a look. You have a worksheet today. And the answers are here. Okay, so put down your formula. Is over of, percent over 100. So here it says what percent? So you're looking for the percent. So put x over 100, because we don't know the percent. Of is 29, that goes down here. And the is 3, so that goes up here. You cross multiply and divide, and you get your answer. So you get 300 is equal to 29x, and then you divide by 29, and you're going to get your answer. So let's do that. Let's take 300, divide it by 29. When I do that, I get 10.3, and that's what they have for the answer. So it's 10.3%. Okay? Now, what you need to know about percentages, it's out of 100. Okay? Percentages, like if you have a decimal and you want to change it to a percent, you move it 2 places to the right. If you have a percent, you want to change it to a decimal, you go 2 places to the left. So if I give you 16.5% and I ask you to change it to a decimal, you would move your decimal 2 places to the left, and it would be 0.165 as a decimal. Okay? And that gets rid of the percent. So you want to memorize that little formula as well. So memorize that. And it's out of 100. Like there are 100 pennies in a dollar. Okay? So that's what you're looking at. Percentages are out of 100. And today, you're going to be working this worksheet. If you get stuck, I want you to ask for help. And I want you to learn percentages because I feel it's something you really need to know. All right? And let's move on now to geometry. All right, so here we're going to reflect that point over x equals -3. So let's graph this first. Let's see what this looks like. So -7 and then up 4 is right there. And we'll call this point A. Okay? So we want to reflect it over this line x equals -3. So you got to know where that line is. Remember, if it says x, you're going to go on the x-axis right here, and you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and you're going to look at the tick mark as going up and down. So this line, x equals -3, looks like this. And this is an EOC question. Now what you do is you count the spaces to that line. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces from here to here. So you want to go 4 spaces this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4 would put you right here. So this point right here, the reflection, would be over 1 up 4. So the new point is over 1 up 4. The original point was -7 up 4. Okay? So we reflected it over that line. And you have to be able to graph that line or you can't do it. Now, y equals x looks like this. Y equals x is a 45-degree line. Now, I asked you to memorize how to reflect over that. So to reflect over this line means you're going to basically go this way a certain distance and you want to go this way a certain distance. So your answer is going to be somewhere over here. All right, if you forget the rule. And it's got to be perpendicular to that line there. Okay, so what you want to do, and the rule is to just switch and write that down and memorize it. So you switch these two. So it's going to be over 4 down 1. Okay, so over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 1 is right here. And so that's where it should be. Now remember, I'm not using graph paper, but that looks like it. So you switch them, and actually if you switch these, it's over 4 up 1, so it should be right here. Okay, so scratch that. didn't quite look right anyway. So when you switch them, the new point is over 4, up 1. Okay, so memorize that rule. You have to switch them. And you have to be able to graph the special cases. All right, so that's an EOC question. All right, let's move on. This one right here is rotate 90 degrees clockwise. And I'm going to look at the board, and I'm going to try to do it the other way as well. So 90 degrees clockwise looks like change the X and switch. So write that down, and you need to memorize those rules. So change X and switch. Okay, let's see if we can do it without that. So let's take a look. The question is, where is point C located at? So let me think about this here. Now we want to go, here's the origin. All right, so we want to go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees clockwise. So you can put a 90 degree right here, and you can rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. So if you take this point and swing it over here, that's where the new point should be. All right, so let's take a look at this and see if that works. So this is over 3 and then down 1. So the point C is over 3 down 1. That's the only point they want. Okay, so the question is, according to the rule, it's change the X. So if you change that and switch, that changes to a negative, and when you switch them, you get a -1 and a -3. Well, if you look at this point here, it looks like -1 and then down 3. Okay, so that point is right there, and I did it without the formula, so I got close. Okay, now that I have the new point, what I want to do is translate it. So my X, I'm going to put a -8, and I'm going to use a different color there. So according to the translation, which is a slide, I'm going to put a -8 with my X, and that didn't come out too good. So let me try a different color. So I'm going to put a -8 with my X, and I'm going to put a +5 with my Y. So the new point on the EOC for this problem, if you have one like this, would be -9 and then 2, because 5 minus 3 is 2. So point C, double prime, because you moved it twice. You rotated it clockwise, and then you slid it to the left, 8. Let's see how that looks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You slid it to the left, and then you slid it up, 5. So 1, 2, 3. So up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should be right there. And that point, if you look at it, if you had to guess here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I got -9. So I got close, and I did get up 2. So you're better off knowing your rules, but if you don't know your rules, you need to be able to figure it out like this. So you draw a line to the center or the origin, and then you rotate it 90 degrees, and then you translate it. Okay, those are the 2 EOC questions. Now, today, you're going to have a test on Chapter 10 over break. And so I would get it out of the way the first week. And these are some problems here that I consider classic problems. I went through the book or through the program, and I got these problems. So I want you to take a look at them. Let's take a look at number 4, for example. So pay attention, because you're going to get your worksheet in a minute. It says the circumference is 64 pi. Okay, they left it in terms of pi. Now you could multiply by 3.14 if you want to. I'm going to leave it like this. So you write down the formula. Circumference equals pi times diameter, and here they give you the circumference. So in place of that, you put 64 pi is equal to pi times diameter. And so you're going to divide by pi, and when you divide by pi, you get diameter is 64. And now you can get the radius by cutting that in half. So the radius is 32, which is half of that. And so let's see what it says. It says find the diameter, we did, check. Find the radius, check. And the length of an arc, well, you're going to draw a circle, and the arc is 90 or 190 degrees. Well, a whole half a circle, or half a circle is 180, so 190 is about here. So you're going to go ahead and find the length of this arc. So from here to here is 190 degrees. Okay? And we know the diameter here. So we're going to say a fraction times circumference, which is pi times diameter. So the fraction is going to be 190 over 360 times pi times the diameter. The diameter we have is 64. And again, this is an EOC question. So what you do is you multiply the top numbers, divide by 360, and you know how long this is. Okay? The measure is 190. So the measure is 190 degrees, but they don't want that. They want the length. And to do the length, you got to use the fraction times pi times diameter. Okay, so this is a work backwards problem. So there's how you do it. And let's move on to the next one. The next one, if you look at it, here is what I would do. Okay, I would first figure out the area of this part right here, which is 300 degrees. Okay, because this is 60, so this part has to be 300. So I would take 300 over 360 times pi times diameter, or times radius squared rather, okay, because it's area. So the radius here, it's hard for me to see because I wrote on it. I guess that's a 12, I'm not positive. So I'm going to say 12 times 12 is 144. So 12 squared is 144. Okay, that's going to give me the area of this underneath here. Then you have to figure out the area of that triangle. So you would take this triangle out, and I would make it like this. I would put the 60 at the top. I would put the 12 here and the 12 here, and then I would drop an altitude. Remember that? So now you're going to pull out that triangle right there and find the height. We need the height of that triangle. So this is 12. We don't know the height. We're going to say x. And we need to figure out here what this is going to be. So this is an isosceles triangle with the 60. So the bases are equal. Okay, so you see how these two sides are equal? Then this base angle is equal to that base angle. We need that, okay? So a whole triangle is 180. We subtract 60, we get 120. We divide by 2 and we get 60. So this angle here is also a 60. It's actually an equilateral triangle, okay? So if they're all 60s, this bottom is 12. If it wasn't 12, we'd have to find this piece right here. But we already know the bottom is 12. All right, so now we need the height. So we're going to stand here opposite over hypotenuse. So it's going to be the sine of 60 degrees is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So the height is going to be 12 times the sine of 60 degrees. All right, so we have everything we need. So right here, you're going to add to this, you're going to add that triangle. So plus 1/2 the base, which we said was 12, times the 12 times the sine of 60. And that's going to give you your answer. So you got to do the area of this part and then the area of the triangle. And the triangle was kind of tricky because you had to drop an altitude. Like I said, these are harder problems, but that's how you do it. All right, so let's move on. This one right here is a slither. All right, so to get the slither, remember you would do area of the sector, which looks like a cone, minus the triangle will equal the slither. So these are some very hard problems here, and if you want to be the best, these are the ones you need to know. So this is a fraction times pi radius squared minus 1/2 the base times the height, okay? This is an isosceles triangle. If this is 90, the whole triangle is 180. So these have to be 45 degrees. All right, so you need to know that because you got to figure out the base of this triangle here. And actually, all you got to do is 9 times 9, base times height. So you don't really need to figure that out. You could. So to get that triangle right here, I would do 1/2 the base, which is 9, and the height is 9. So this is actually easier than what I thought, okay? So it's going to be the whole fraction, which is 90 over 360, times pi times radius squared minus the triangle is going to give you that slither. And that's how you do that one. And these are, like I said, harder problems, but I want to go over them now with you, okay? All right, let's try another one, and maybe we'll work these together in class, okay? All right, so let's take a look at this next one here, since I already did most of the work here. All right, now watch this. This is what I call the bicycle problem. It's on your EOC, so watch how you do this. Well, AB is 9, so put a 9 here. Okay, BC is 26 right here, and DC is 8. Okay, and what they want to find is AD. So they want this distance from here to here. And here's how you do it. What you do is you take a straight edge and you slide it parallel, and you just slide it down till you hit the first center of the circle right here. Now, what we've done is we slid this down to where we subtract the 9 minus the 8, and we get a 1 here. So from here to here is 1. Okay, we just subtracted 9 minus 8. We know that this part is 26. We know that this is a tangent, so it's got to be 90 degrees. All right, see how it says tangent? All right, so now you have a triangle, and your triangle basically looks like this. So it's going to be leg squared plus long leg squared, short leg, long leg, is equal to the hypotenuse squared. So x is going to be the square root. 1 times 1 is 1. And 26 times 26, I have no idea, but we'll do it on the calculator. So 26 squared plus 1 equals, I get 677. And then I'm going to do shift and then square root. I get 26.0. And I'm going to say inches or feet. We'll say inches. And there it is. And that's how you do that. So the bicycle problem, the trick is to slide this piece like it's on rails, parallel, and then draw a line. And then from there, figure out whatever you need to. In this case, it really wasn't that hard. All right, so this is your work for today. And there's one more right here. You see how this right here is a radius from here to here. Now, 5 only goes from here to here. So what you want to do is rotate this to make a triangle. So put an X right here. All right, and so what you're going to do is bisect that 20 and make this 10, because each side is 10. And so now you're going to do Pythagorean's theorem to find the radius. So again, the trick here is to slide the radius to make a right triangle. We're seeking right triangles. The answers are here, but you're going to have to convert this. So you're going to have to multiply 120 times pi, and then you're going to have to add that to it to actually compare it to your answer. All right, this is going to be a challenge today, and we can work these together if we need to. All right, so have a good morning.